All right, so today we're going to show the CDL pre-trip, which is one of 4 assessments you're going to take to get your Class B driver's license with a P and S endorsement with an E restriction. E restriction means you're being trained on an automatic transmission. E restriction means you can't drive a standard stick shift. All right, that's all an E restriction is. All right, we're going to start when we get on the bus. First thing we're going to do is start with this lap belt, seat belt. All right, what we're going to say about most everything on condition, because we're naming the part and giving a condition. All right, it's not cracked, damaged, loose. It's properly mounted and working. Working means I am going to put it on and adjust it. All right. Next thing we're going to do is a safe start of our bus. Anytime you start a bus, this is how you start it. All right. So first thing we're going to do, just turn our key 1 click to the right. All of our gauges are going to cycle. In the meantime, we're going to pull on that parking brake and we're going to make sure we're in neutral. All right. Once our gauges have cycled, we're just simply going to turn the key and start our bus up. All right. Our headlight switch on this bus is right here. Just turn it on. All right. When I turn it on, my dash also lights up. It's hard to see in the daylight, but you'll appreciate it in the dark. What I'm going to do now is go through all my gauges up here. All right. I have a sticker for DEF, all right? That tells me this bus does not have DEF. What DEF is diesel exhaust fluid. There's 4 lights that'll light up. They're usually right near your fuel gauge. You need a minimum of 1 of them lit up. What DEF does is it's for the environment. It's for clean exhaust on a bus. All right, it's federal guidelines. All right, newer buses have to have it on diesel engines. All right, I'm going to go through my gauges one at a time. I'm checking my fuel gauge, and I'm showing plenty of fuel. I have 2 air pressure gauges. All right, now I can roll my bus. I can drive it when it safely reaches 100. All right. You're going to hear a governor shut off at about 120 to 140 psi. You're going to hear psh. All right. My voltmeter is this electronic gauge right here. It should read between 12 and 14. All right. Right now we're at 14, so we're good. Battery is charging. We're going to come over to our oil, our water, and our transmission. They're all going to rise to normal. All right? Next, I'm going to come to my left turn signal indicator is working. All right? My right turn signal indicator is working. Now, to activate the hazards on this bus, pull this metal straight out towards this window. And now you can see my hazards are working. To turn off your hazards, simply do your turn signal. All right, that shuts it off. All right, I'm going to pull the lever towards me. Now you can see the high beam indicator is working. All right, we'll shut that off. Right on top of my steering wheel, horn works. All right, these are all points on this assessment building to a passing score. All right, now I'm going to work my way over here. This silver button, when I push it, is going to activate my amber pilot warning light for my amber student lights. But the first thing I need, Brad, if you can shine the light, shine your camera up here. All right, this is my valve for my service door. All right, Emergency is straight up. Emergency just means I can manually operate my service door. All right? When I clip this to normal, all right, 3 o'clock we call it, because that's work time. All right? Notice the service door closed, because now in normal position, I can operate this service door with this switch right here. And I'll do it. You just flip it up, and the service door now opens, and then push the switch down, and it closes. All right, let me put my seatbelt back on. All right, we talked about this silver button. Find where yours is on your bus, but on this bus, it's this silver button. You just push it and let it go. You see the amber pilot light? That is telling me my amber student lights in the front and in the back are working. All right? I have a red pilot light right above it. To get that to work, I'm simply going to open up my service door. You see a red pilot light? That's telling me my red student lights in the front and in the back are working. If you come out this window here,
The stop sign is now out.
you can see the stop sign out here. All right? It's out. The lights are working on both sides. If you go out front, Brad, look at my crossover or cat eye mirrors. Can you see the crossing gate out in it? Just point at that one.
Yeah.
All right?
Yep.
You can see it. All right? So I know the crossing gate is working. We know the stop arm is working. All right? When I close the service door, all right, what's going to happen is you're going to hear some beeping going on. The beeping is telling me that all my student lights are going to shut off. My stop arm is going to come in. And what else is coming in? My crossing gate. All right? I'm going to do that now. All right? You hear the beeping? Service door also closed. The beeping is everything deactivating outside. All right? Stop arm is in. Crossing gate is in. All right? Next, I'm going to come down here. We're going to do our defrost. Right? The defrost is working. Next, the heater is working. Now, when it's 90 degrees like it is today, I don't think we want to leave that on, right? Okay. So we just wanted to make sure that they're working. Now we're going to come over along the top where our service door switch is. Let's open that door again. Now, the service door is opening and closing smoothly. Now, if you shine down by the steps, all right, see the step light? Step light is on, right? It's not cracked, damaged, loose. It's properly mounted and working, all right? Service door is closed. Next, I'm going to come right here, and our washer fluid is working. Right? See it? Washer fluid is working. Our next switch over here, right next to it, is our wipers. Wipers are working. Right? They're not cracked, damaged, loose, properly mounted, and working. All right? We're going to come over here. I have 2 interior switches. All right? We're going to turn them on, and we're going to look this way on the end cap. You see the interior lights on? They're working, half of them. Yeah, the front half isn't working. But we're going to say that our interior lights are not cracked, damaged, loose, properly mounted, and working. All right? We're going to shut them off. All right? We're going to come to our bottom row here. Come on over here, Richard. Oh, you going in? Go ahead. Go around. Check it out. All right? And We got our passenger heat in the back. All right, these two switches are working. All right, shut them off. That's it for over here. Now this is the first opportunity I have to look up. Let's look at our windshield.
What are those other two buttons on the side there? The yellow one and the one next to
All right, this is a noise cancel switch, which we'll talk about as a route driver.
Okay.
All right. I don't want to confuse anybody. It's not part of CDL.
Okay.
We'll talk about that after. It just cancels all your noisemakers.
Okay.
Like if you have your fans on, heat, and everything, right? You're coming up the railroad tracks, hit that switch, it turns all those noisemakers off instead of going individually to everything.
Gotcha.
All right? So let's just turn that off. Now, back to CDL. You're looking at your windshield. It's not cracked, damaged, loose, properly mounted. No illegal stickers. What they mean by illegal stickers is your favorite sports team across your windshield. All right? The other thing, let me see your piece of paper there. The other thing is no obstructions. Nothing to block your view. All right? Hey, Richard. Come on in, buddy. Join the party. I'll introduce you in just a minute. We're just videotaping the pre-show. All right? So, that's your windshield. Now I can look at my student mirror. All right? Student mirror is properly mounted, not cracked or damaged or loose. Right? It's clean and clear, and it's adjusted for me. Now I'm going to look at all of my outside mirrors. All right? They're all properly mounted, not cracked or damaged loose. They're clean and clear and adjusted for me. All right? Now, what we're going to do is you're going to ask your assessor at this point to go out into the front, this side, and the rear of your bus, and you're going to activate lights for them to check to make sure your lights are actually working on the outside of this bus. All right? Now, we're going to pretend that, actually, Richard, you want to do that for me? You want to check my lights, front, side, and back? And I'll let you out to the front. When you get to the back, just don't stand behind the bus, off to the side. All right? And I'll explain in a moment why. All right, so Richard is our assessor today. All right? So I'm going to start with lights up top and work my way down. So I'm going to start with activating my amber student lights. So he's looking at them. All right? Next, I'm going to open my service door, which activates my red student lights, right? It also sent out my crossing gate and my stop arm. So he's seen those. Now I'm going to do my left turn signal. Click it about 3 times, all right? Right turn signal. My hazards, okay? 1, 2, 3. Cancel those. Now I'm going to click my high beams on and off. All right? And then he's going to come around. And I've asked him to look at my stop arm. Once he gets past the stop arm, I can close my service door, which shuts off all my student lights. Now, when he's in the back, which he is now, I'm going to reactivate my amber warning lights because he needs to see them in the back. And then I'm going to activate my crossing gate, but I'm not going to open it with somebody walking in front because I'll whack them right in the kneecaps. All right? So now I'll open up my service door, which activates my red pilot light, stop arm, crossing gate. So Richard has seen those. All right? So now I'm going to close my door. I'm going to activate my left turn signal, let it go 3 times. Right turn signal 3 times. Activate my hazards, let them go 3 times. Right? Now I'm going to step on my service brake all the way down. Right? Then I'm going to put my bus in reverse. 3, back into neutral. Keep your foot on that service brake. All right. Now, he should have seen all of my lights back there now. All right. Now, when he comes back in, thank you. It's not working. They still haven't fixed it. We won't be driving this bus. But yeah, they haven't fixed it yet. All right, so when your assessor gets back on the bus from checking your lights, right? And we'll have checked the bus ahead of time. I knew that one of the lights wasn't working out there, but we're not going to be driving this. This bus is not moving through this entire assessment. Okay? So, as soon as your assessor gets back on the bus, we're going to do our brake tests. All right? The first one we're going to do is, remember I said this bus does not move through this whole process. If it does, it's an unsuccessful attempt, and you'll have to come back and be rescheduled 2 business days later. All right? The first one we're going to do is our service brake test. All right? So, my air pressure is built up to the governor cutoff, 120 to 140. All right? I'm only going to verbalize how I would test that. I'm going to drive forward 5 miles an hour. I'm going to step on my service brake to bring my bus to a stop and make sure it didn't pull hard right or hard left. Verbal. All right? The next one I'm going to do, is my park and brake test. All right? So, I want to make sure no one's near this bus, obviously. All right? Because when I do this test, it's possible this bus could move because of a failure of the park and brake. So make sure no one's near this bus. All right? So, again, I'm at the governor's shutoff, 120 to 140. I'm going to put my foot all the way down to the floor on the service brake. All right? I'm going to pull on the park and brake, make sure it's applied. Applied means on. All right? I'm going to shift into drive. I'm going to, again, look around this bus. All right? And I need everybody seated just for a moment. In case it does fail, you don't want anybody standing on your bus. All right? No one's near this bus. I'm going to gently accelerate. 1, 2, 3. Back with the foot on the brake. Back into neutral. This bus did not move. Park and brake held this bus. All right? The next 3 steps of this entire assessment is pass or fail. This is not point driven like everything else we've done and we'll do beyond this. This is pass or fail. All right? If you're studying nothing else, all right? Study this because you need to know it. All right? First thing you're going to do, all right, is check your air pressure again, right? Right? 120 to 140 governor shutoff. I'm going to just need somebody to time me. All right? I'll tell you when to start the time. This test, I'm going to set up for it first, and then I'll explain what it is, because I'll have a complete minute to explain. So, I'm going to put my foot all the way down on the service brake. All right? I'm going to shut the bus off, turn the key to the center, turn the key back to the right, push in that parking brake.
Your timer went away.
Okay. We're going to start the time. All right? The time starts when I've done those things. All right?
Okay.
So, my foot is on the service brake because parking brake is off. Right? I'm on a slight hill. This bus will roll. The only thing holding this bus in place is my foot. Okay? We're timing for 1 minute. All right? The key is turned to the right. Engine is off. Parking brake is pushed in. I'm going to look at my air pressure gauge. I am currently at 110 pressure. All right? So, I'm being timed. by Miss Dawn
141.
for 1 minute. I want to make sure I do not lose more than 3 psi in 1 minute, and Dawn will tell me when that 1 minute is up.
Starting now?
Tell me when 1 minute is up.
Oh.
Okay, it's been
reset
1
it.
minute.
Yeah.
We'll help you, Dawn. Don't worry about it. We're good. I'm just picking on you.
It's okay.
Okay, so I did not lose more than 3 psi in 1 minute. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I am literally going to pump these brakes quickly to bring this pressure to about 60 psi. All right. At that point, I'm going to hear an alarm, and I'm going to get a red low air warning circle on this dash, and it's telling me my air is getting low. All right. It's as if you have a leak on your bus, but I'm creating the leak. Okay. So I'm going to do that now. That's the reason we turn this key to the right, because I need that electricity for that alarm and for that light to come on the dash. Okay? I'm going to do it now. I'm going to pump it down to about 60 quickly. And when I'm done, I'm going to leave my foot down for the same reason I already mentioned. If my foot is not down, this bus is rolling, and guess what? I was unsuccessful, and now my assessor has to reschedule me for 2 business days later to retake this. Okay? I'm at 60. You hear the alarm, right? You see the red low air warning in the dash, all right? So that tells me I'm losing air. Now, the reason you need to know this is if you're out on the road and you're driving, all of a sudden you hear this beeping and that low air warning light comes on in real life. You need to pull your bus over as safely and quickly as you can in a safe location, because I'm about to show you what will happen if the leak continues. Imagine yourself on I-385, one of the local highways, going down 385, and you're not paying attention to this. I'm going to show you what's going to happen. All right? So I'm going to pump these brakes down to get the air pressure down to about 40 psi, and that parking brake is going to pop out. That's why I pushed that parking brake in the beginning. It can't be pushed in any other time. That key cannot be touched any other time during this process but the beginning. All right? If you do it at any other time and you make a mistake, you get one more opportunity to do this. You can restart your engine, build the air back up, and do it one more time. Okay? All right? I'm going to do it now. I'm going to pump it down to about 40 psi. At that point, that parking brake should pop out. I'm going to do it now. All right? You heard the parking brake pop out? All right. So this part of it is done and over with. Wow. I'm going to take that key and I'm going to turn it to the left. I still need electricity, but I don't need all that beeping. The electricity is so that when I go to the back, I'm going to check all my emergency exits. I need to hear the alarm as I test these exits. First chance I have to stand up, right? So, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand forward, all right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to come right up top here, and I'm going to find my emergency equipment. I have a first aid and a body fluid cleanup kit. They're both mounted and they're fully stocked. Okay? This box right here, 3 red reflective triangles, they're present. Okay? Down here, this right here, fire extinguisher, fully charged, properly mounted, and it's rated properly for this bus. And it's okay if you say it's the correct fire extinguisher for this bus. All right? We don't get too worried about wording on this, as long as we know you know what you're talking about. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to face this way. All right? And I'll let you turn around, Brad. All right. What you're going to do back here, we're going to check our seats. All right? First thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure the seat frames are properly mounted to the floor and the cushions are secured to the seat frame. We're just going to check like 3 rows. Kick, kick, pull, pull, kick, kick, pull, pull. Seating is completed. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to point out our emergency exits. We're going to operate a couple of them. All right? So the roof emergency exit. All right? I'm going to show you. You don't have to do this during CDL. I'm going to show you how it works. All right? Basically, it's a vent. Okay? If you need air in your bus, you can open it up easy enough. Don't open it by this, right, Richard? Because these will be broken. All right? So the way you undo this to open it as an emergency exit, this handle, there's a little arrow up here. Okay? You're just simply gonna turn it. You hear the buzzer. No, you're not doing this during this assessment. Okay, I am only for video purposes showing you the operation of it. You're just gonna point to it during the assessment. I have 2 emergency roof hatches. That's what you're doing during the assessment. All right, and then if I just pop this up, it'll flip right up on the roof. All right. That would be necessary probably in a rollover, heaven forbid, rollover accident. And we're going to train you so that that does not happen. Okay, we have 2 window emergency exits. Again, you just have to point them out, but for our purposes and video purposes, I'll show you how they operate. So this handle right here, just pull it up, and this window just pushes right out. Bring it back in, and then just close it back up. You heard the alarm, all right? Now, different windows operate differently on different buses. Some of them, the red handle is up here, and they swing out that way, all right? So get to know your bus that you're assigned to, all right? All these emergency exits are clearly labeled. This is our side emergency door, all right? During your assessment, you are going to operate your doors inside and outside for your alarm and for proper operation. The reason we don't do them all is because it's a training bus and we have so many drivers coming through. These plastic handles on these emergency exit windows will be broken, all right? And then mechanics, right, Richard, have to come and repair them. Your bus is out of service until it's repaired. That's why we just show that. You don't have to operate them during your assessments, all right? So side emergency door, I'm gonna operate it, open and close it. During the video, you don't have to do this during your assessment, but I'll show you how to open it all the way up so it locks and how to properly get it unlocked to close it, because a lot of these hinges get broken. All right, so this handle here, pull it up, you hear the alarm. Okay, use the handle on the door to operate your doors. Don't push and pull by this handle. All right, if we push it all the way open and I try to pull it back, it won't come back. Push it all the way open again and then bring it back in using this handle. Now this just locks and unlocks. This handle here. This handle used to open and close your door. All right? Back here, we have 2 more emergency exit windows. We have another roof emergency hatch. And then back here, rear emergency exit door. I'm going to operate it. When I do, you should hear the alarm, just like you did on the side emergency exit door. And I want to make sure it opens and closes smoothly and secures properly. All right? Again, this handle locks and unlocks. This handle used to operate. Okay? All right? You heard the buzzer, and it's working. Now we're going to come up front. How you doing, by the way?
About one.
Key out when you come up front. All right. Then we're gonna exit right outside, and we're gonna talk about our entrance. If you want to wait right there, I can talk about it while you're right there. All right. First thing we're gonna talk about, we have a magic wand here. We're gonna talk about our stair treads, right? Not cracked, damaged, loose, properly mounted, clean and clear. You know, no tripping hazard. This is where your passengers are going up and down. The other thing, handrail, make sure that it's properly mounted. You want your passengers using that going up and down. The service door, all right, opens and closes smoothly. Notice I put the valve in the 12 o'clock position, which is the emergency position, so that I can work this door on my own. Okay, this is my service door. It's not cracked or damaged or loose. It's properly mounted at the hinges, and it operates smoothly. All right, you can come on out. Out here for this assessment, we're doing most everything on the outside in the front of the bus, the driver's side of the bus, and the back of the bus. The only thing we're going to do on the passenger side of the bus or the service door side of the bus is anything different than the other side. All right, so we're going to start out front. All right, we're going to talk about all of our mirrors, all right, outside, right? None of them are cracked or damaged, loose. They're properly mounted, and I knew they were adjusted for me from inside. Now it gets a little specific, all right? So out front, we're gonna name our lights, and if you notice right here, headlights, simply just go in and turn them on. And that's fine. Just turn them off, all right? So we're gonna name our lights, all right? We have 3 amber clearance lights. We have 2 amber student lights, 2 red student lights, right? We have a right and left amber turn signal, which is also our hazard lights. We have 2 clear headlights, which are high and low beam lights, okay? I need to give the condition. Remember, you gotta name the part, give the condition. It's okay to name them all, and then the condition. Not cracked, damaged, loose, properly mounted, and working. Are you guys picking up on the theme of that?
CDL.
Okay, that's
Would we
right.
report that piece missing on the front grille?
No, they're not gonna fix it. No, no, it's an old bus. They're not fixing that. That's cosmetic.
If you ain't got a screw missing, you can fix it.
That's right.
You got a screw
So-
missing, have it flop and we'll fix it.
So this is our crossing gate, okay? Crossing gate is not cracked, damaged, loose, properly mounted. We know it's working. We saw it, plus the assessor came out to check the operation of everything. We're gonna look underneath our engine, and we don't wanna see any leaks under there, okay? We're gonna come over to this side of our bus. We're gonna come right over to our front tire. Remember, everything's done on this side of the bus. Front tire. We want to make sure we have an even tread, right? We don't want any nails in our tires, right? The depth, we want a minimum 4/32. The sidewall, we don't want any cuts, bulges, or damage, all right? The rim is not cracked, damaged, loose, no illegal welds, and there's no rust trail where it meets the tire to indicate that there's a leak, that we could have a flat tire, where this tire could come loose from that rim, all right? We have all of our lug nuts. They're not cracked or damaged or loose. They're properly mounted. By loose, if you shouldn't see any shiny threads here, or you shouldn't see any rust trail coming down from it. That means water's getting behind it. Could mean loose, all right?
Question.
Yes.
4:30 seconds. How do I know?
You're saying it during a test. You can look at a tire, and if it looks bald, you're not driving it.
Right.
Okay.
but-
Do you think this one's drivable? And that's what you're looking at.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it doesn't. How do we measure 4:30
You're
seconds?
not.
Roger
You're
that. Okay.
you're not.
Usually my I guess not really rule of thumb, rule of pinky really.
Okay.
If you can fit about half of that little first digit on your pinky in there, you're good.
And we're training Richard, who's he works for the state shop.
Like up to here?
So he's a perfect
No,
guy
about
for this.
that.
Halfway up my pinky?
Halfway up.
We used to do a penny test.
Okay.
It's a penny.
Yep.
Cover half penny.
Cover the head of the penny.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. You're doing a visual. Okay.
Yes.
You're doing a visual. If you have a concern, you just write it up.
Yeah.
They'll notify shop with paperwork, and they'll look at it and they'll make the determination. And if you have a concern with it, they won't have you drive it.
I
You'll-
just asked because
Yep.
4:30 seconds versus 2:30
That's right,
seconds
in the back.
in the back. So that's why I asked, how do we visually determine the difference?
Yep. You are basically looking at that tire. If it looks bald to you,
Yeah.
No.
don't drive it.
No.
All right? We're not teaching you to do a major inspection like you're going to change a tire.
Just as if you would drive your own kids in it.
That's right.
'Cause you
Would
are.
you? Right. And that's what we're getting at.
Yeah.
All right? So behind this lug nut, you have what's called a bolt hole. All right? So your bolt, you're right? Here's your bolt right here. Pretend this is your bolt. Here's the hole in that rim that the bolt is going through. All right? So it's the bolt hole we're talking about. You should not see any cracks or distortions coming from underneath where your lug nut is. You cannot see that hole in that rim, but trust me, it's there. All right? If they over tighten this with one of those air guns and this bends in, then it's weak metal and you don't want to drive it. So you're talking about the bolt hole is not cracked or distorted. Okay? Valve stem and cap, not cracked, damaged, loose. It's not leaking because there's air in there, right? Anything with air or fluid is not leaking. If I had a tire pressure gauge, I would use that to test tire pressure. So Dawn, no, you're not going to check tire pressure. All right?
He knew it was coming.
Yep, you're going to look at the tire and you're going to determine whether it is safe
Feels solid.
to take out. Okay? This is your hub seal. It's not cracked, damaged, loose, or leaking because there's oil and grease in there, and it's properly mounted. Okay?
Yep.
All right. Next, we're going to move to this side of our bus. This is where we have our spare fuses. All right? Spare fuses, we're going to make sure the door is secured. Our battery door is secured. Stop arm. It's not cracked, damaged, loose, properly mounted. It's working. We know it's working. We're going to look at our clearance lights. We have 2 amber, and then in the far back is red. All right, we're going to look at our left turn signal / hazard light, which is amber. We're going to look at our reflective tape. We're going to make sure our reflective tape, which is near your emergency exits, and it's along the sides of your bus, as well as your amber reflector. And down there you can see the red reflector. So we're going to give the condition of all of that. It's not cracked or damaged or loose. It's properly mounted, working. Side emergency door. Remember, I said you're going to operate them inside and outside on all of your assessments. Okay? Side emergency door opens and closes smoothly and secured properly. On this, make sure it is pulled all the way tight. You're going down the road and you don't have it tight, and this thing is bouncing, and this thing opens up a little bit, your bus is going to stop. You're on I-385, that's where it's stopped. All right? Keep that thing tight. We're going to check our rear tires. All right? Again, even tread, no nails. The depth back here, like Dawn said, minimum to 30 seconds. Sidewall is not cut, not bulged, not damaged in any way. Our rim, not cracked, damaged, no illegal welds. Right along where the tire is, there's no rust trail to indicate a leak, that the tire could come loose from the rim. Down here, we have our lug nuts in here. All right? Lug nuts are not cracked or damaged or loose. There's no shiny threads or rust trails to indicate looseness. All right? Behind it is our what, Dawn? Bolt hole. All right? You can't see it. It's not cracked or distorted. All right? Valve stem and cap, right? Not cracked, damaged, loose, or leaking, right? Has its cap in place. How do we test that?
With the tire gauge.
Tire gauge, that's right. Axle seal.
But we won't have to test it for the test.
You will not. Axle seal, not cracked, damaged, loose, properly mounted, not leaking. There's grease and oil in that. If this thing's leaking, you'll know it. It'll have grease all over the ground. All right?
Question.
Sure.
This.
Probably some sealant for that. Not important.
I just wondered if it was a welding.
Yep. Okay. Front and back, we have mud flaps. They're not cracked, damaged, loose, properly mounted. All right, and working. Okay. We're going to come to the back of the bus. We're going to do the same thing back here. We are going to name all of our lights. All right. Up on the roof, it's hard to see right here, but there is a strobe light up there. If you've ever seen school buses going down the road, strobe lights. Okay. So there's a strobe light up top. There's 3 red clearance lights. There's 2 amber student lights. There's 2 red student lights. All right. We have a right and left turn signal, which are also your hazards. They're amber in color. You have 4 tail lights, which are also your brake lights. They're tail lights when you turn your headlights on. They're brake lights when you step on your service brake. Okay? They all work together. All right? You got 2 clear reverse lights. You have 2 red reflectors, and you can see your reflective tape. Right? We're going to give the condition of it. It's not cracked, damaged, loose. It's all properly mounted and working. Rear emergency door opens and closes smoothly and secures properly. Right? Now remember, on the service door side of the bus, we're only going to talk about things that are different than the other side. All right? We have a storage door here. All right? It's secured properly. All right? We're going to move down here. All right? Right up here, we have our fuel tank, fuel lines, and here we have our fuel cap. None of it is cracked, damaged, loose, properly mounted, not leaking, and working. This here is a ground step light. All right? When it's dark, it just helps passengers to see the ground when they're getting on the bus. All right?
What types of things go in the storage unit back there?
We don't use it.
Okay.
Nope.
It's not relevant.
A lot of times with activities like coaches, if they drive, they'll have storage areas which are much bigger than that for like sports equipment, band equipment, things like that.
In the video we watched, the fuses were located on the ends, the spare fuses.
Not on this one. Not on this one.
The new
And this
ones
is
are on
one
I
of the
showed
test.
you where the
Yes,
fuses
sir, it's
were
on
on
the side
this.
of the bus.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think Dennis's is the same on his
Thank you.
bus. Okay? This is very similar to Dennis's. That's why I'm showing
Okay.
you this one. Okay?
That's why
So,
I ask.
we opened up the hood. We're going to start on this side. We're going to move to the other side of the hood. Okay? So, here's a sight glass for our coolant, and it's showing that we have proper coolant level. We're going to look at all of our hoses. They're not cracked or damaged, loose, leaking, properly mounted. All right? Brad, if you want to get in here, right where I'm pointing, right? That right there is a serpentine belt. All right? It operates the alternator and the water pump. We're just going to talk about the condition of the serpentine belt itself. All right? So it's not cracked, damaged, loose. It's properly mounted. When pushed on, should not give more than a 1/2 to 3/4 inch play. Let's move to the other side. Yeah, it's right there.
Happens quarter inch play.
All right, over here. Now we're moving to the other side. All right, now we're going to talk initially about all of our hoses, including our power steering hose and our brake hose. All right, none of them are cracked, damaged, loose, leaking. They're properly mounted, all right, and working. All right, this is our oil dipstick. This is our power steering dipstick. All right, the way we check those: pull the dipsticks out, wipe it off, put it back in, take it out, check for proper level. Okay, this right here is our gear-driven air compressor. Not cracked, damaged, loose, or leaking. It's properly mounted and working. The reason I'm starting to say leaking is because anything with air or fluid, it can't be leaking also. Okay? All right, so next we're going to go to our steering mechanism. So this is our power steering box right here. It's not cracked, damaged, loose. It's properly mounted. It's not leaking, and it's working. All right? Now, this is our arm. This is our link. Down here is our tie rod. All right? These right here, that, and this over here is our joints and sockets. So, they're not cracked, damaged, loose. They're properly mounted with nuts, bolts, and cotter pins. All right? We're going to get into our suspension. This is your spring mount hanger with its bushing. All right? There's one in the front, and then there's one way in the back. You have to say there's one back there, because they're holding the leaf springs on both sides. So you have to say front and back.
Can I see the bush?
I'll show you underneath in the back. Okay. All right? It's hard to see it up here. Okay. Right? So your leaf springs are not cracked, damaged, or loose, right? They're lined up. None of them are missing. They're held on with these U-bolts right here. The U-bolts are not cracked, damaged, loose, properly mounted with their nuts and bolts. All right? Shock absorber right here. Not cracked, damaged, loose, properly mounted, and not leaking. All right? Now we're going to get into our brakes. This is our brake chamber right here. It's held on with a C-clamp. It's not cracked, damaged, loose, properly mounted, and not leaking because there's air in there. All right? This right here is our slack adjuster and our push rod. All right? It's not cracked or damaged or loose. It's not missing its cotter pin, which is right here. And I should not be able to pull on this push pin more than 1 inch with the brakes off. Okay? Under here is your brake drum. All right? I don't know if you can see it. You might be able to see it because this is your brake drum out here too. All right? It's not cracked, damaged, loose. It's properly mounted with your nuts and bolts. That's what's holding that in place. And there's no dog, as we like to call it. No debris, oil, or grease inside the back of your tire. Okay? The other thing is your brake pad or brake lining. All right? And it's not worn too thin. All right? We're going to go underneath.
What is this where this is shredded?
we're not talking about it.
Okay.
Okay? And we can go back over it, but that unless I pointed to it, you don't need to worry about it.
Okay. So that's fine the way
Yep.
it is. Okay.
Plus I have a mechanic right behind you.
As long as it don't get hung on with me.
That's right. All right, so what I want to do is I want to close this so I don't hit my head. All right, Brad, come on under with me. You guys can, Dawn, you can come under if you want. All right. Hey, Ben, can you put the chalk in front of the front wheel? Thank you. We know that the parking brake holds this bus, but we want the extra safety. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start up here. So this is your floor. This is your small cross member, because it's crossing over your frame, all right? Here's your large cross member, right? That's what's giving you your support for your floor, okay? So floor, small and large cross member, and your frame, okay? We're gonna talk about all of it. It's not cracked, damaged, loose. It's all properly mounted. There's no broken welds. These are two plates welded together. If they break, what's gonna happen to your floor? They're gonna start to sag, all right? And this is a factory hole. We're not talking about that, but you're gonna mention no hole. We're specifically talking about in the floor because you do have exhaust and everything down here. You don't want it going into your cab, right?
Right.
Okay, this right here is our drive shaft, all right? Here's your couplings, all right? So it's not cracked or damaged or loose, properly mounted with the couplings, and there's no debris. Like you wouldn't want to pick up a rope or something out on the road. This thing bends, your bus is out of service, all right? Here's your exhaust right here, all right? It's not cracked, damaged, loose, or leaking, all right? Leaking would be like a white powder soot forming, like, you know how puffs of smoke can come out? That would indicate a hole is starting, right? You can see it's properly mounted, right? Now we're gonna come over here behind me, right? This is our bud wheel. Think of two tires, hang out, they do everything together, they're buddies, right? Here's your bud wheel. Evenly spaced, evenly centered, all right? It's not cracked, damaged, loose, and we don't want any debris in there either, okay? Now we're gonna get into our suspension again. Once you learn it up front, you're just gonna repeat it back here. So this is your spring mount hanger. Dawn, you asked about the bushing? Mm-hmm. It's right here, all right? Your leaf springs are wrapped right around the bushing, okay?
Okay.
All right, so it's not cracked, damaged, or loose, properly mounted, not missing its bushing, okay? The leaf springs right here are not cracked, damaged, loose. They're not shifted, broken, missing. They're held on, if you can see in there, Brad. See these big, they're U-bolts. They're like literally upside down shapes like U, right? They're not cracked, damaged, loose. They're properly mounted with their nuts and bolts. If you look straight back where I'm pointing, straight back there, you can see the shock absorber, right there, right? It's not cracked, damaged, loose, or leaking, all right? I'm gonna grab that from you just for a minute, all right? If you look straight back here, all right, and I'm gonna try and point to it. It's that big round ball back there, all right? That is your airbag. It's not cracked, damaged, loose, or leaking, properly mounted and working. We're gonna look right up here, all right? If you guys can see this right here, they call it a torque bar, all right, a tension bar. It's not cracked, damaged, loose, and properly mounted, all right? Next, we're gonna get into our brakes. All right, so we have our brake hoses, not cracked, damaged, loose, leaking, properly mounted. We have our brake chamber right here. All right, you can see the C-clamp. It's not cracked, damaged, loose, properly mounted, and not leaking. Now let's see if I can get behind it. All right, behind it is again your slack adjuster and your push rod. All right, slack adjuster and push rod is not cracked, damaged, loose. It's not missing its cotter pin, and I shouldn't be able to pull on the push rod more than 1 inch with the brakes off. All right, now behind the wheel you got your brake drum. All right, the brake drum is not cracked, damaged, loose. It's properly mounted, not missing nuts or bolts, and there should be no dog in there, debris, oil, or grease. And then you have your brake lining or brake shoes or pads. They are not worn excessively thin. All right, so that is underneath the bus. All right, so the time on this is normally 45 minutes, start to finish. This is a study thing. Learn the names of parts, and you already know, or you should already know, what to say about most everything. Cracked, damaged, loose, leaking, properly mounted, and working. All right? All right, very good.
Damaged,